The wind blew sharp across the empty plains, carrying with it the scent of smoke and hunger. The wagon trails were frozen in mud, the sky pale with the promise of a storm. She sat on the edge of a broken crate, her dress torn, her eyes hollow, staring at the firewood stacked higher than she had ever seen in her life. Her people had traded her for it. One girl. One daughter. One soul for warmth and bread. It was the way of desperate times. At least, that's what they told themselves when they handed her over. The small settlement had been starving for weeks. The harvest had failed, cattle stolen, and the children cried through the night with empty bellies. Then came the stranger, broad-shouldered, wrapped in a black coat, his horse as dark as midnight. He didn't ask for gold or silver. He didn't want land. He wanted her. She was 17. The men of the camp kept their eyes lowered when he spoke his offer. One bundle of firewood for each year of her life. Loaves of hard, dry bread stacked high on the wagon. Enough to last the winter. All they had to do was give him the girl with the gray eyes and the silent tongue. Her mother wept, but didn't say no. Her father stood stiff, his jaw locked, pretending the choice had been stolen from him by fate. The elders muttered about sacrifice, about survival, about God testing the faithful. But none of it erased the truth. They sold her, bone and blood, for bread and firewood. The stranger lifted her onto his horse, her thin body light as air. She didn't fight. She didn't scream. She only looked back once, her eyes falling on the faces she had called her own. None of them raised a hand to stop it. Not one. That night, in the stranger's camp, the fire burned warm. She sat with her hands bound, her hair tangled in the wind, listening to him hum an old tune she didn't know. He never touched her. He never spoke more than a word or two. But she knew what he had bought her for. Her silence was heavy, but her heart, oh, her heart roared with betrayal. The days stretched. The plains turned from frost to mud. She learned his name was Cain, though she never called him it. He moved like a man with ghosts at his heels, never staying in one place too long. He fed her bread, gave her water, cut her ropes only when he knew she wouldn't run. She thought about running, of course. Every day. But where would she go? Back to the ones who had traded her for warmth. Back to the hollow-eyed children who would eat the bread she had been worth. There was no home left for her. Only the road. Only the stranger. Weeks passed. She learned to watch him. He spoke little, but his eyes betrayed him when he thought no one looked. He carried sorrow heavier than any pack, deeper than any hunger. She wondered if he, too, had been traded once. Or if he had traded someone else. One night, she asked him why. Her voice cracked, the first word she had given him since being taken. Why me? He looked at her then, his hand tightening on the tin cup of coffee. The fire popped between them, sparks scattering like stars. Because they were willing to let you go, he said simply. The answer cut sharper than a knife. From that night on, something shifted. She hated him still, oh, she hated him, but the hatred was no longer clean. It was tangled with a strange kind of curiosity. He taught her how to ride, how to track a trail, how to build a fire. Not as a kindness, but as if preparing her for something. She grew stronger. Her voice returned, sharp and steady. Sometimes she even laughed, though it startled her when she did. And still, he kept his distance. Still, he never touched her. By spring, they reached a small town on the edge of the frontier. People there whispered his name. Some spat. Some crossed themselves. Cain, the outlaw. Cain, the thief. Cain, the man with blood on his hands. And the girl with him, was she his captive? His wife? His ghost? No one dared ask aloud. It was in that town she saw her people again. They had come to trade pelts, their wagon lighter than it had been the day they sold her. She froze in the street, her breath caught in her throat. Her mother looked thinner, her father older. They saw her too, and shame spread across their faces like a shadow. But shame was not enough. The girl walked past them without a word, her chin high, her gray eyes cold as stone. She wasn't theirs anymore. She wasn't anyone's. That night, she asked Cain what he planned to do with her. "You're free," he said, staring at the horizon. "You always were." Her heart stumbled. He left before dawn, his black horse carrying him into the mist. No rope held her, no bargain bound her. She was alone, truly alone, for the first time in her life. And yet, as the sun rose over the plains, she felt something she had never known before. Not fear. Not loss. Freedom. Her people had traded her for firewood and bread. But in losing them, she had found herself. And somewhere out there, the outlaw who had bought her soul rode into his own shadows, carrying a piece of her with him. She would never forgive them. She would never forget him. But she would endure. Because some trades can never be undone. Because sometimes the greatest fire burns not in the hearth, but in the heart of the one who refuses to be broken.